Welcome to the Wizard Tower Art Podcast. Today, I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going a bit against the script. Rather, there is no script. See, I am currently in a very interesting situation where I have moved houses, I've changed jobs. I have been trying to keep this whole internet thing going on while I also have a normal lifestyle, let's say. In case you didn't know, I spent the last few years trying to build up some art portfolio and skills so that I could, really be able to call myself an illustrator and perhaps make a living off of it. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, but I don't want to give up just yet. However, I also know that you need money to, eat and live, so now it's time for a permanent shift into what is a normal job. And so that comes with changes. And changes that, when I say changes, that means it also affects things like this. Because while I will never want to stop doing this, because I know that eventually it has to at least become somewhat recognized, or I don't even want to say popular, but it's nice to know if people actually listen. I need to streamline it a bit. And perhaps the professionalism, I guess the silly attempts at professionalism that I've been trying to have in regards to editing and output and, a nice logo and a whole animation on the background, that will take a bit of a hit. And so there are things that I shouldn't do that I mask with editing, such as breathing in through my mouth. I know it sounds very weird and specific, but if you're listening to a podcast, especially with headphones, that can be very frustrating. And instead of trying to overcorrect and end up sounding like a robot, I'll start attempting to improve in person so that that's not an issue anymore. Right, so that was a bit of a rambling, meandering introduction. I don't have an artist of the day. I don't have a topic of the day per se. I want to be very clear that this podcast was made possible thanks to LaurenDraws01. I mean this specific episode, which is this episode's guest. As I have mentioned, as I have previously published in my Twitter feed, the podcast will have a bit of a shift. It will now be fortweekly. Every other week, that is. At least until I get the hang of how to juggle a regular job, this podcast, and also drawing for commissions online. I truly believe this will be worth it. And so, unfortunately, this also means that there will be less editing. But, for now at least, this podcast will focus more on guests. Both so that you guys can hear your favorite artists communicate with me, and also because that helps me, that lifts a bit of the pressure of keeping the format entertaining. Or also, now that I think of it, it prevents me from going into deep and uncomfortable topics. Because I'm the kind of person who likes to explore and sometimes prod a little bit too much into weird stuff. Uncomfortable conversations just to get to the truth. But I know that a podcast that would do this every single episode would get really bothersome eventually. So, a little bit of a change of pace. Perhaps by the end of, let's say, October, we can really get back into a more stable schedule and a more orthodox roadmap of how every episode should go. But for now, this and the following episodes will be mostly a brief introduction, and then perhaps some catching up to do with what I've done in the past 2 weeks since recording. And after that, I'll just dive in with the conversation with whoever is the guest of that episode. And hopefully this makes for an interesting enough thing where you're still getting your time's worth. Because I know it's a cliche, but it really is so that the most important resource you can give me as a viewer is your time. And so without further ado, let me switch recordings to my conversation with Lauren Draws. Enjoy! Okay, so I'm about to start. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, So in this episode of the Wizard Tower Art Podcast, I have with me LaurenDraws01, or Lauren. You can find her at LaurenDraws01 at Twitter, also on DeviantArt, Instagram, and she has her own shop on Redbubble. Welcome, Lauren. Would you tell us about yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me on the podcast. Like you said, I'm Lauren, and I'm an artist. I have a Redbubble shop. I put things there occasionally. I post a lot on Instagram and Twitter and DeviantArt, and I'm pretty active on those websites. I also have a YouTube channel in which I am doing an audio drama, an illustrated audio drama. It's really cool.
I do want to ask you about your audio drama, but before that, I would like to have your opinion on something, which is, I actually found about you last year, almost an entire last year, because of the art threads that were popping up on Twitter, especially. I know that we've seen them around on Tumblr and Instagram, but they kind of blew up. Were you able to get most of your audience there, or is it something more of a migration from other platforms?
Oh, it was completely the art threads. I was one of the first people to jump onto it. I feel like on Twitter, a lot of people actually credit me with creating the art threads, and I just want to make it clear that I don't think I created them. I feel like there were people before me that did it. I honestly don't know who did it, but I don't want to take credit for that. Before the art thread, I had about 100 followers, and now I'm at almost 7,000. So, yeah, most of that's from the art threads, and then from on Twitter, people went to my Instagram and DeviantArt and all that, so I kind of branched out from Twitter. But yeah, before the art threads, I was pretty much no one.
Wow. I mean, great for you. It's amazing. That's a big number to get in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it was crazy because over 48 hours, I had 5,000 new followers, and I was just flipping out because I had no idea what to do.
Yeah. And did you set on did you decide on some kind of event or something, or did the community tell you what would be a good idea, or what's up?
Well, after that, I think I did a free commission raffle, if I remember correctly, where people had to retweet, and then I would pick some random person and I would do them a commission free of charge. So I did that. I made them some artwork, and I think that's all I did for it. Of course, I was participating in the art thread. I was retweeting everyone's stuff. I was following as many people as I could. And my account got locked several times because Twitter thought I was a bot following people.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "You're not following me." And I would post screenshots of my account being locked saying that I can't follow any more people. And I would say, "I'm sorry, this is why I can't do it." I had no idea that my thread in particular would blow up. So many people expected me to follow them and stuff. And because the thread itself was post your work, retweet it, I will retweet it, and I will follow you. And I tried to do that as best as I could, as much as Twitter would let me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, as you say, I guess it's overwhelming if it's overnight and there's no way to react.
Yeah, it was definitely overwhelming at first because, I was in school when it first happened. I remember being in my first period class, actually, writing that tweet because I just got so bored. And then later on that day, just getting so many followers and having to pay attention in school instead of be on my phone. And it was a struggle because there was just so much happening. And, I wanted to reply to all these people because my notifications were getting flooded. And it was kind of scary a little bit because people were like, here's my art. And I was like, wait a minute, gotta get these people's art first.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you something. It's completely fine if you disagree. I don't know. I had an episode with DP Arts, and I was asking her what did she think about the organic or not organic growth that people got from the art threads. And what I mean by this is that people, I think, maybe I'm wrong. I really don't have the means to find out if this is true or not. If you have a lot of followers that come from the art threads, it's usually other artists who are looking to get more followers. And so I would be scared that, for example, Instagram had changed their algorithm to benefit you from having actual interactions, not from the amount of followers you had. And so I was scared that, what if you have 10,000 followers, but when you upload art, you get 10 likes, and it's completely disproportionate, and you kind of lose sight of who's actually watching and who's not. How do you feel about that?
No, I totally agree because I see it with my own stuff. I'll tweet something and then I notice it's the same like 4 or 5 people at first that like it and retweet it, and then after that it's just kind of random people, and I don't get a whole lot of interaction with my tweets. And I notice that when I go a long time without participating in an art thread or hosting my own or doing something kind of big, my followers drop a lot. Like, I feel like I lost probably 30 or 40 people just today.
Wow.
And yeah, because I try to not look at my numbers, but I've noticed it just go down so much. And I wonder, like, because I know Twitter had this thing a while back. I don't know if it still does, but there was this thing where it would just unfollow people without you knowing it. And that actually happened to me a few times. And people were like, "Why aren't you following me?" And I was like, "I don't know." But yeah, back to the topic. A lot of it, I feel like they don't see my stuff, or either they just don't interact with it because they don't actually know who I am, because they don't remember me from the thread. They just follow me because I followed them. So whenever they see a tweet of mine that isn't directly related to art threads, they just don't know how to respond. If they even see it in the first place, is what I feel like.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that even trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's not like they say, "Oh, I don't know this person," but more like they're following so many people in attempts to give some sort of follow back that their wall is just, spread thin with all the content they can see, and they have to really scroll down to find your stuff specifically.
Yeah, and I deal with that too because I have almost as many followers as I have following. I think I'm following more people. I don't know if I am, but I might be. But it's pretty much like equal. And yeah, it's difficult because I'll be scrolling through my feed slowly just looking at stuff, and then all of a sudden it will refresh and I'll be back at the top. Like I'll be reading a tweet and it will just go back up to the top, and I'll be like, I didn't finish that one. Like I might have wanted to like it or retweet it, but I didn't finish it. Or I was looking at something, like watching a video and a tweet, and then it just refreshes on its own.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I don't know if that's just the app that does that or if it's Twitter everywhere, but yeah.
No, that does happen on desktop as well. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to complain because there might be the possibility that you have a setting to turn that off, and I just haven't checked. I just can't be arsed to do it.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea if that's a setting. I know there is a setting in which you can change it from top tweets to first tweets. And I do that, but, like, it automatically switches back after a while.
I see.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, I see. I appreciate your feedback on that because it really got me curious about it. And, like I told you, I've been a bit busy lately, so I haven't been able to keep up with trends and stuff. And so I kind of felt out of the loop about it. Is there any like big art related trend or topic that has come about since, I don't know, the last 1 or 2 months? The last thing I saw was Art Fight, and I don't even know how well that went.
I have no idea what that is, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah. As for trends, I personally don't really keep up with a lot of those just because I'm trying to personalize my art a lot more. And so whenever I see trends, I just kind of try to stay away from them because I want to focus more on my own personal artwork versus trying to fit in with everyone else's stuff. Right. I did the Draw This in Your Style challenge a while back. I don't think I really participated in anyone else's. I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, I don't think I drew anyone else's thing in my style. But I did make a picture, and I told people to redraw the picture in their own way. And a few people did that. And yeah, but that was the only trend I really got on, and that was like 6 months ago, I think, is when that trend was really going. I still see it around, but it was kind of dying when I jumped into it.
Oh, that's okay. All right. I think one last question before we move on from this whole social media stuff. I mean, as I mentioned, you are on DeviantArt and Instagram. I was curious if you saw some overlap or bleeding from followers from one platform to the other, or have they been like mostly separate in the terms of following?
For the most part, they're pretty much separate. Like I said before, I have almost 7,000 followers on Twitter. I think right now I'm at 6,800. On Instagram, it's about 700. So I'm not even to 1,000 on Instagram yet. And I think that's partially because my art account is also my main account. Like, I don't have two separate things like most artists do. I kind of put it all into one because I don't post a lot of like selfies or anything. It's mostly just art anyways. So I didn't see a point making a second account. But yeah, I do get some people from Twitter. I will advertise my Instagram there sometimes, and people follow me, and then I'll follow them back on Instagram. But yeah, a lot of people, I think they just kind of find me through Instagram's algorithms anyways. Same for DeviantArt. I don't have a lot of people on DeviantArt. I think last time I checked I was at like 200. And I did get some people from Twitter to follow me there, and of course, you know, I followed them back because I like to do that, you know. And yeah, I do get some people from Twitter, but mostly it's just doing stuff on the websites themselves, on the different apps.
Right. What about, you can definitely let me know if it's not something you'd like to touch upon, but you mentioned you were on a first period in school, and I was wondering, are you going through college right now?
Yes, I just started college this year. Last year I was a high school senior. So, yeah, that was my last year of high school, and I just started college. I'm actually like 3 weeks in.
Oh.
This is my third week right now. Yeah.
What are you majoring on?
I'm majoring in graphic design as of right now. I don't really plan on changing it, but in case if I do, you know. But as of right now, graphic design.
And if you could have like your dream job, I mean, I'm assuming it's art related, but what would it be?
Goodness, dream job. As much as I want to say graphic designer, I really would go with illustrator. Only reason why I don't want to do that in real life is just because I know that I'd probably get burnt out. Even though it's something that I would want to do. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's my dream job. But I want to do it for myself and not for a client. Like, I know that sounds really greedy.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know that eventually you're not gonna give it your all because you're sick of it, plainly, and I mean, it's better to just keep it to yourself then.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I would have to ask you about a social media related topic of the day, but since you say you don't keep up with trends, and neither have I, because I've been busy, I'm not sure what we can do here, except another typical point would be if you like to share your art inspiration, both in the artists you like and what artist styles would you like to emulate or perhaps follow, even if tangentially.
My goodness. Okay, inspirations. There's so many. And it's weird for me because people compare my art a lot to like Cartoon Networks and like the Disney animated shows. Funny because I don't have cable TV and I don't have Netflix or Hulu or anything. Like, I literally have nothing. So I've never really seen a lot of that. Like, I know the shows, I know the characters and stuff, but I've never actually watched it. So I guess my art could be inspired by like modern cartoon styles, even though it's probably like an indirect inspiration, because I didn't ever look at those and say I want to make art like that. I just kind of started drawing artwork on my own. And before I drew people and stuff, I was actually into the My Little Pony fan base, and I would draw My Little Ponies. And goodness, I did this up until quite a few years ago, and I feel like my current style is based heavily on that. And that was like right before we got rid of cable. And that was like the only thing I watched. And even like when we got rid of cable and stuff, I would find it on YouTube before YouTube started taking down all the copyrighted stuff. But like before they got like really strict.
Yeah.
But yeah, the My Little Pony stuff, I guess, is the only cartoon that like really heavily inspired it. And even then, like, my stuff doesn't even look like My Little Pony, just because it's changed so much over the years. But that's kind of like where I started out as. And then like last year and the year before, when I started focusing drawing on like people and stuff, I had a lot of inspiration from people that I followed on Instagram. And actually, let me open up the app right now and go find some people that I follow, and I can tell you their Instagram names because I feel like that'd be good.
Yeah, sure.
And these people, they don't really, like, they kind of influence style, if you were to look at their art and compare it to mine, you probably wouldn't see any similarities. But they just kind of inspired me to, like, I guess, push myself more, because I saw their art. It made me want to draw better. Not necessarily more like them, but more like how I saw myself drawing.
Yeah, there's like a style we have in our head, and the whole point of improving is to like make it so that our hands can actually emulate it in the real world or something.
Yeah, that's a really good explanation of what I'm trying to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's
cool.
That's literally what I was trying to say. The first one I have in mind is Ellie Mation.
Mm-hmm.
She works at Disney right now, I think. But yeah, I followed her while she was still in art school in college, and her style developed, and I got to watch it, change over time. And I thought that was so cool, because a while back she did this like comparison thing where it was like, this is how I used to draw and here's my new art, and I think it's so cool. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I could do that, because I wasn't very satisfied with how I was drawing. So I've been pushing myself to draw more how I really wanted to draw inside, but I wasn't sure how to put it like on paper.
Yeah.
Or I guess on screen, since I don't really draw on paper. But you get the idea.
Yeah, of course. It's kind of I don't know if it happens to you. Do you have a how can I say this? Oh, my English is failing me. Do you have a tablet that you draw on the tablet, or is your tablet also your screen, like with the syntax?
I draw on an iPad Pro. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess it's considered a drawing tablet. It's not like what people think of when they think of a drawing tablet.
It works.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like more people are jumping onto, not as quickly as, say, something, quote, more professional. But, yeah, I have the Apple Pencil.
Oh, sorry, after you mentioned the Apple Pencil, you cut out a bit. Could you repeat that?
Oh, sorry. I was saying that I have the Apple Pencil, and I use it, and I actually got it when I graduated, the iPad Pro and everything. So, yeah, it's what I used to draw with.
Yeah, I was mentioning that because ever since I've started drawing directly on my tablet, when I try to draw on paper, it usually ends up slanted because I don't realize that I'm not putting the paper diagonally as I would a tablet, and so it's just this disconnect that I should really be practicing more traditional, but I haven't.
Yeah, like I can't draw on paper whatsoever. A while back I did mermaid. Oh, that was another trend, was mermaid. During the month of May, there's like a different prompt, and I was kind of rebellious and I didn't listen to the prompts. But you're supposed to draw a mermaid every day, and it was difficult because I thought, oh, I can just draw a little mermaid every day. No, it was difficult trying to think of a different thing every day. And I did it in a sketchbook. And it was just, it was so difficult transitioning from digital, where I have layers and I can rotate my canvas and I can resize it and I can do all this really cool stuff and I can choose any color I want, to paper, where I have to go find my colored pencils. I have to use the eraser. I have to be really careful with where I put my drawing and how big I draw it and how small I draw it and what angle I draw it at.
Yeah, I mean, the limitation sometimes is what makes it more beautiful, because you're aware of the effort it took.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I see all these traditional illustrators in my art threads and stuff, and just on my feed, and I look at that and I go, oh my goodness, that's just amazing, because like I have total utmost respect for traditional artists. Like digital artists, yes, it's difficult, it's a real art, but traditional artists, because I can't personally do it very well, I just look at their art and I go, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes when I try to actually shade on traditional with like pencil and stuff, it's always this, like, beside what you mentioned, the smudges and the bad lines, I end up with graphite all over my hand and stuff like that, like a kid. And yeah, a lot of respect for traditional artists. But I actually went on this tangent, and would you like to mention more Instagram people you like? I was actually going to mention that if you like, I can add them to the description of the video when this goes up.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, I'll remember exactly who I tell you so that I can just send you the links to put them in the thing. Yeah, another one is the PBC Ninja. Her name's Rachel, and I've been following her for, I guess, as long as I've been following Ellymation. And yeah, and her art style has changed as well. I mean, I liked it before, but I also really like it now, and it's really cool. I really like her art. And another one is Mike Cartoons, a storyboard artist at Nickelodeon. I believe he works on SpongeBob, and he'll just post all these cute little doodles. Like, his feed is just filled with doodles that he does on little tiny cards that he does. And it's really cool because they're done with like markers and pens and stuff, and more of that traditional art that I just really admire.
I actually, that really sounds awesome. I'm gonna follow her. Wait, the last one was it a her or him?
Mike.
Oh yeah, him. Sorry, I was
Mike Cartoons. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll follow him because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in general, now that you're listing of these accounts, I noticed that most of the people I like are already dead, so that's fun. Like I went on a more traditional, like, oh, this dude who lived 300 years ago and he did the thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I noticed that I haven't been keeping up with contemporary, like modern digital and traditional artists, so maybe that's something else to look into. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many people who they did great things in their lifetime, and they're great to look for and inspiration and stuff. And there's a lot of people that I admire as well who, you know, are also passed away. And, and yeah, I definitely look to people like that for inspiration as well.
But I try just to clarify, I wasn't implying you didn't. It just came to me. Yeah. I don't know. Sorry if it came out wrong.
No, you're fine. I totally understand. I'm just saying that I'm in the same boat where, you know, yeah, it's fine. Okay. But I also like to fill my Instagram feed with art because it's just nice. It's a nice change of pace because I see all these people posting things like, you know, selfies and stuff. And then I scroll down further and I see someone's artwork and I'm like, oh, I'm not the only person that does this.
Yeah. I see. Okay. So, would you tell me about your illustrated audio drama? Because I've heard you mention this, and you seem very passionate about it. So I would really like to know what's up with that. Because I'm guessing that most people who hear this will not be familiar with it.
Yes, so I have an illustrated audio drama on my channel, and the way that it works is that it's kind of like a radio show, whereas it's mostly done by voice acting and sound effects and things of that nature. You know, we have narration and things like that. But it's illustrated, so it's not like a cartoon where it's fully animated, although there are some animated parts to it, depending on what artist takes what part of the story and decides to do what with it. But the way that it works is I have this team of people, right? Like, I write the script, I write the story, and then these people, they voice act it, and other people will illustrate for it. And it's all these different people coming together, creating one thing. We're kind of stitching it all together. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, we have the teaser trailer, we have the prologue, and we have chapter 1. And the way that I have it written as of right now, there's a total of 5 chapters. And chapter 2 is currently in production. So when you watch it, there's a whole range of different artists. So, you know, one scene will look like something, and then the next scene, it will look completely different. So it's not the smoothest thing in the world, but it's really fun to look at because it's the same story. It's just being conveyed through, goodness, probably like 20 or 30 different art styles.
Oh. Okay. So is it kind of like an MAP? I mean, the good kind of MAP.
Yeah, multiple animators project. Yeah, it's basically
like a storyboard phase, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like that. That's exactly what it is. It's multiple artists project.
Okay. All right.
And the story, because I know people, they hear about it and they're like, okay, we get what it's made out of, but like, what's the actual story?
Right.
It's about these 3 kids. And, okay, it's called Whale Out of Water. First of all, I should get that out there. Whale Out of Water. It's about these 3 kids. And Their names are Jason, Alex, and Millie. Jason and Alex are best friends. Millie is Alex's younger sister. So it's the first day of summer, and they're like, hey, let's go exploring, because our town has this really cool folklore about this forest monster, and there's a forest right outside of our town, and we're not really supposed to go in it, but we're gonna go in it anyways. So that's what they do. They go in the forest, and they're looking for this forest monster. Now, Alex, he's the one kind of leading this, but he's not the best leader because he's also really scared of everything. But he wants to find it because, he kind of wants to prove to everyone that he isn't really scared of everything. Yeah. And his friend Jason, he's supportive of it. He's like, yeah, let's go find it. But he's also really chill about everything, so nothing really scares him. They're climbing this mountain because the forest is a mountain, and they kind of get separated. Millie's like, Alex, where did Jason go? And, Alex is kind of freaking out. So they go find Jason, eventually, and Jason has stumbled upon this castle. And it starts raining, so the kids are like, okay, well, we're closer to this castle than we are to the town, so let's just, take shelter in here, and then, as soon as the storm goes away, then we'll go home, because I feel like we're trespassing. Or at least Alex feels like he's trespassing.
How old are these kids? Like, just for context?
Okay, yeah. I would say that Jason and Alex, they're, like, older teenagers, and Millie's, like, a younger, like, preteen, like, 12 years old, I would say. And Jason and Alex, I put them at, like, 17. Like, they're not quite adults, but they're not, like, young kids, Like, they're older teenagers.
Yeah.
Possibly 18. Well, in the castle, they find, this creature, and it's a whale. It's a little tiny whale. Oh, his name is King Whale.
Wait, is that the one on your header on Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And Alex is all freaked out. He's like, okay, first of all, you're a whale. Second of all, you're living in a castle. Third of all, you can speak English. And fourth, you're living in a castle, you're a whale, you're speaking English, and you're living on top of this mountain, right outside of our village, and no one knows who you are. Like, he's just kind of freaked out, And everyone else is, like, really cool with it. They're trying to be best friends with Whale, and it's, and this opens all the doors for all the different,
shenanigans.
Scenarios. Yeah, shenanigans that are going to happen in the rest of the story. And that's kind of the synopsis, I suppose, of Chapter 1, because I figure, Chapter 1 doesn't really spoil anything, and there's a lot more detail there as to, like, who the characters are, and there's an original song in Chapter 1, too. It's really cool. I'm really proud of everyone who worked on it. Yeah, so if that synopsis sounds interesting to anyone listening, I'm gonna go ahead and plug my own audio drama. So yeah. I feel like it's one of those stories that you would probably see on like a cartoon channel of some kind. That's not necessarily for little kids, but that I feel like anyone could watch. Granted, like I said, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Finished.
Oh, I was gonna say I haven't really seen very many cartoons, like I said earlier, so I don't really know what most modern cartoons are like. But I mean, I'm kind of guessing mine would fit right in that range.
I noticed that it says audio drama, but I don't know if that's a description of the format or if drama is like actually part of the genre.
That's a good question and good point. There isn't a lot of drama. That's more for like you said, the categorization of how did you word it?
Huh? What do you mean?
It's not the genre. It's just it's.
Oh, like the audio drama is a type of media, and this is what it is. But it's not specifically like a crying soap opera style drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's just the type of media that it is. It's not at all like dramatic in any way. There is a little bit of drama. There's some like conflict, but it's not at all like a soap opera or anything. It's more adventurous, and I guess it'd be more like I'm trying to think of what kind of genre it would fit into. I guess
Slice of
um,
life, perhaps?
a little bit of slice of life. Yeah, yeah. Actually, know a lot because,
Oh,
well, I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's a lot of emotional based
hmm.
parts of the story. I'll just say that, but nothing like dramatic like soap opera.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just cut it there because, yeah, as you say, let's not give away too much. You can check
Yeah.
Well Out of Water at LaurenDraws01's YouTube channel. Do you have a custom channel link thingy, or is it still like a bunch of characters?
I think it's just a bunch of characters. I'll send you my channel link after
Sure,
this.
I'll add it to the description as well. And as a reminder to anyone listening, all of the people that Lauren has been mentioning, as well as the usual plugs, will be down in the description on YouTube and on SoundCloud. I want to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing here with the podcast because I would like some of your input as
Okay.
I guess as a fellow small to medium content creator, or I don't know,
Yeah.
that word has become a bit dirty, the whole content thing. It seems
Yeah.
it makes it a bit sterile, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The reason why I started this podcast and why I want to keep it going is because I want a community of people. But here's the thing, whenever I see people trying to get together to do art together or learn or perhaps share their stuff, I see it goes either one of two ways. Either it's a small group and people give up after like a week or a month because life gets in the way or because they're not committed enough, or you have these massive Discord channels, servers where there's like 6,000 people, but because of that, everybody talks past each other, and the promote yourself channel is spam to the point where nobody's actually clicking.
Yeah.
And this podcast to me wasn't an idea that I had in the sense of what would I want. I would want to see something like this, but it doesn't exist. And so originally this podcast would come with a server so that people would join. But now that I'm seeing more of how can I say it? Now that I'm seeing that every artist has become like their own small isle, because we are under the impression that we can all make it if we try hard enough and for long enough using the internet. I'm not saying it's not true. I mean, definitely a lot of people have become freelancers successfully, but like it's such a maze, such a dungeon. I don't know. How do you feel about a project like this or a podcast like this, or what would you expect from it, or what could I do to improve it in your opinion?
Well, as of right now, I think this is pretty great. It's a new podcast, so it doesn't have too much history. Main thing right now is just exposure, I think, because our listeners spread it. I would just continue inviting people because
I'm so sorry, you're cutting out, but I'm not sure whose fault it is.
I'll repeat what I said.
Okay, sorry.
I was just going to say that this is a new podcast, and the best thing I believe for you right now, in my opinion, would be exposure. Because the more people that see it and hear it, the more people that will share it. Because it'll be beneficial to artists. And I would say to continue inviting people onto your podcast, just like how you have me on here right now. I'm definitely going to share this podcast with everyone and invite everyone to come watch this episode that I'm in. And the more people that are on it as guests, the more people will share it and more word will get out and the more people want to join, and it will be a continuing cycle. Now, I don't know if you want to constantly have people on here, but it could be like a special thing that you do that could get people excited. And I don't know what your plans are for the podcast. But, I mean, I think what you have right now is really great. Of course, there isn't much history to it, like I said earlier, because it's a brand new podcast. But, just, I think continue doing what you have right now to see, how it works. And then, see from there.
Right. It's just, the reason why I ask for feedback specifically at this point is because there's so much of, like, at the same time, podcasts are becoming big in specialized fields beyond just your typical, like, the thing that everybody watches. and at the same time, everybody and their mother have a podcast now. So it's
Yeah.
kind of this weird, like, is it even worth it? But definitely, I'll keep trying. And like I said, the end goal is definitely a community. But I want to be realistic about it, and I know that it will probably take a few months at minimum to take off. And so I really do appreciate the feedback. Even if it's just keep doing what you're doing, I think it's better than having absolutely no idea, which is honestly one of the few problems I've had so far. Because unfortunately, at least in the city I live in, or the people I know, they have nothing to do with the art community. So I'm a bit like on the dark on this kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, I think that will pretty much be it when it comes to our little roadmap, this guest episode. I think this was really great. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
I expected us both to stumble a little bit more, especially me. But
I'm surprised that I didn't stumble much more than I did.
oh, yeah. Well, if there's something I've discovered in these few weeks is that artists tend to be very introverted, or at least have some sort of problem expressing themselves. I don't know if that's just...
Oh my goodness, yes. I think a reason why artists in particular, not that it's only artists or that it's all artists, but I feel like the majority of artists deal with this is because we're used to expressing ourselves without words.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so when it comes to actually speaking, we're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a pleasure, Lauren, and I hope that perhaps in the future we can have you again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Oh, same. I guess I'll see you around.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, that was kind of a send-off for the podcast, but I didn't want to, like, oh yeah, bye, click.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah, okay.